Hello, Spectrum Women. It is I, Becca Lory Hector, here with Asking Spectrum Women, the June edition. Welcome to June, everybody. Happy Pride Month, right? I'm excited for June. Pride Month all around, lots of celebrations. Hopefully, we'll have some joy going around this month for a change, right? That would be awesome. But happy Pride Month to everybody out there who's celebrating this month. I am also celebrating. Yay. Happy Pride Month. We have Autism Pride Day, of course, on June 18th. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I think that's the date. And yeah, so it's a good month for celebrating everybody's differences, which I think is awesome. And anyway, I enjoy Pride Month. I like to see all the happiness. It makes me happy. But in any case, welcome back to Asking Spectrum Women. I am doing a Q&A as I do every month with your questions and my answers. So let's get started, shall we? I have a ton left over from last month. Remember, I couldn't get through all of them last month. And I got a few more for this month. So once again, I will tackle as much as I can in about 20-30 minutes. And whatever doesn't make it to June, we'll go ahead and move to July. But we're going to try and get through stuff. I'm going to try and not give really long answers to questions that need shorter answers so that I can get in as many as possible. If, as always, you have any more questions or want more information on the stuff that I talk about, you can always email me directly at info@beccalory.com, and that's Lory, or you can comment wherever you're seeing this video. Okay, let's get along, shall we? So one of the first questions layover from last month was about COVID and struggling to leave the house. I know a lot of us are dealing with anxiety about and surrounding COVID. And I am also in that boat with you. I certainly have my own fears about COVID, and I don't like to leave the house as it is. And so what's been happening is a lot of us have been staying inside, and it's our comfort and our safe space. And the longer we do that, right, the more we're comfortable, and the less we want to be uncomfortable and go step out into the world again. But it's catch-22. The longer you do it, the harder it gets. So to me, the simple solution is to make yourself leave the house once a day. Even if that just means going and sitting outside your house, or walking around your block, or hopping in your car and taking a drive for a little bit. But if you do it in little increments, on the days when you don't have to, on the days when you do have to, it won't be so hard. So that's my suggestion on that front. I hope that that helps. Moving along. I had a question about burnout. How do we conquer burnout when it gets really bad? And here's the deal with burnout. Burnout doesn't just arrive. We get to burnout. So along the way, you should have had some shutdowns and some exhaustion and all of those things. But if you missed all of those signals and you're sitting in burnout and you don't know how you got here, or you do know how you got here and you wish you weren't there, when it's really bad, the only thing that you can do is rest, because the burnout is coming from overstimulating yourself, overextending yourself. And so what you really need to do, the quickest way out of burnout is not to rush it. It's actually to sit in it and be in it and rest and be kind to yourself and take care of yourself and build yourself back up. And that will get you better and feeling like you can tackle the world faster than if you try to rush through that process and get back into the world too soon. I think what you'll find is that a shutdown will follow very quickly, and also maybe another burnout, because you haven't really dealt with whatever was causing it, or addressed whatever you need to in your life. It's just going to come back. So what I say is, when you're in burnout and you've gotten there, stay in burnout for a little bit. Really treat yourself with the kindness that you deserve because you got there. And then spend some of that time figuring out how you're going to do it differently, and what signals you're going to be looking for when you do get out of it, so that you don't create another one. That's my take on burnout. So I could of course talk about it forever, but I just did a live stream on shutdown and burnout. So if you want to know more about shutdown and burnout, I will put the live stream link in the description of this video. Let's see, what else? Moving along. Okay, diagnosis question. If a diagnosis is such a big expense and a huge drain, not just financially but emotionally, and in trying to find the right person is also exhausting. Is it really worth doing if it's not going to change the past or who you are? I love this question. My answer to that is no. I don't think anybody needs a formal diagnosis in adulthood because it is so expensive. It's not available to us. It's very exhausting. And for all of those reasons, I think self-diagnosis is just as valid. And so forcing yourself to get a formal evaluation, you should have a really good reason for it in adulthood. You should either be so comfortable financially that it won't matter, or you need to know for you, or you want it for you for some reason. If you need it for work for some reason, right? There should be a reason in adulthood for getting it, because there's a reason in childhood for getting it, right? They go and they get that diagnosis in childhood so they can receive supports and services, and like in school, and get your IEP and all of those things. But because we don't have those services and supports available to us in adulthood, you need a better reason than just cause. And that's my answer to you. No, it's not always worth it to go and get a formal diagnosis. I don't think so. That's my opinion. Moving along. Let's see. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is a very long question. I'm not going to read it to you, but in essence, the summary of the question was, Zoom, it's exhausting. What the hell, man? What do I do? Okay, so let's talk about that because it's very real. Other people are feeling the exhaustion too, not just autistics. When we're on a Zoom call, I think not only are we trying to pay such attention to the body language and the words and the audio and all of that stuff of the people that we're talking to, but now we're also thinking about what facial expressions we're making, and not only are we thinking about them, but darn it, we can see ourselves doing it right there. And it's so annoying and exhausting. And so it is difficult. Don't feel alone in your difficulty. It is exhausting in a different way to be on those meetings, just like being on a conference call is exhausting in its own way to process all those voices at the same time. So what I say to you in trying to manage your courses, your classes, a lot of the people, she was talking about her Zoom classes, because a lot of classes are now on Zoom, your Zoom meetings, be careful in your planning and what you do the rest of that day, right? It takes a certain amount of spoons to do a Zoom meeting, and you use them differently, right? So make sure you don't use up all your spoons on Zoom meetings or all your spoons on something prior to your Zoom meetings so that you're exhausted for them. It is exactly like how I would treat it like it's an in-person meeting because it exhausts us in the same way. And what you don't want to do is schedule too many of those things in one day. So what I would do is think about how many you can comfortably handle in a day, decide on that, and don't schedule any more than that. Just make yourself unavailable. That's the way I'm handling it because I can only do a certain amount of Zoom meetings a day before I want to like Zoom myself somewhere. You know what I mean? It really is. It can be very exhausting. So schedule it carefully. Use your spoons in the same way that we talk about all the time. Carefully and with intention. Set up that spoon usage. I hope that one was helpful. I feel like I'm going fast a little bit, but those are my basic answers to these questions. And I want to get in as many as I can for you guys so I can catch up. I'm saving that one for the end. Okay, here we go. Another question about, and this is interesting because I am the opposite. It's interesting. So I get a lot of satisfaction coming to the end of a packaged product, scraping out the last bits from a jar, finishing a tube of toothpaste and throwing it away and opening a fresh one. I mean, like such joy. It's such a pleasure and satisfaction for me. Is this a me quirk or is it anything to do with ASD? I think I have to tell you it's a you quirk. I am the opposite with items, right? I want to be the person that uses every amount of the toothpaste in the tube, every bit of conditioner, but I get really frustrated when I can't get the bottoms of it out, and since I struggle with dyspraxia, most of the time I really can't do those fine motor coordination things, and so I end up getting frustrated and tossing things out too soon, and I get annoyed with myself that I didn't use every bit of the product, and so I don't think it's an autism thing. I think it's a personality quirk. I definitely do, but I'm sure there are other autistics who are autistic and also have that personality quirk right along with you. So I guess we're all a little bit different. But yeah, it's like in that first year, you can't help but to look at every single thing in your life and say, ooh, is that the autism? right? And I definitely did that myself for the first year, absolutely, and the second year too, and sometimes I still do it. But I would say on this one, it's a personality quirk. Okay, moving along. Next question. Okay, this one's about masking. I also did a live stream on masking, so I'm going to share that in the description as well. I'll share those 2 live streams for you. But what the question is about masking is, I am aware that when I am masking, particularly in situations that require a whole drawer full of spoons, right? So those difficult ones, we know we're masking, right? Okay. But I find masking useful at times, but exhausting. But sometimes I'm in a situation where I don't really need to mask, but I still feel it go right on. Any thoughts on this? Yes. So masking becomes a habit. When we are needing it to survive in social situations and we do it all the time, masking becomes a habit. And it's a habit you have to break intentionally. So what's happening to you is that it's so easy to mask these days, and it slips right on because you've been doing it for so long. You know you're heading into a hard situation. You consciously say to yourself, I'm going to need to mask through this one. So you probably set up your day differently and prep for it. But you're aware that this is a situation where, you know what, I'm going to have to mask through this one. It's just easier, right? And then what happens is it slips on so quickly and easily. It slips on when you don't intend for it to. It slips on when you're in a situation where you should just be yourself, right? But it's a habit and you don't mean it. And so what I have to say to you is it's about awareness. It's awareness of that masking. So when you are trying to, as aware as you are when heading into a difficult situation about knowing you need to put your mask on, what you need to do is also become equally aware of situations you're heading into in which you shouldn't need to mask. And what I find is when I'm more tired in a situation, or as that situation goes along and I'm getting more and more exhausted, the less I'm able to mask, the less I want. Well, I'm sorry, incorrect. I didn't mean to say it that way. So the more tired that I get in a situation, the longer I'm in a social situation, the more easily the mask slips on, because I've always used it in situations when I'm tired. And so I have to be aware that it's slipping on, and what I need to do in those moments is say, wait, I'm tired, the mask is slipping on, and what I need to do is leave, not mask. Right? I need to say, okay, you guys, I've had it. I'm at the end of my whatever. I'll catch you guys later. I'm out. Right? And even if it's earlier than anybody else, that mask slipping on to me is a sign that I'm tired, or it's a sign of something else. If you find yourself entering the situations with your mask on, that's going to be a pre-awareness situation. You need to say, I'm going to this social situation. I don't want to mask through it, and be aware to drop it if it slips on. Right? That's how I handle that situation in terms of masking. But that's why it's slipping on, man. It's become such a good coping mechanism for you throughout the years, and it's become such a habit. It's like slipping into your second skin. And so if you're not consciously saying to yourself, this is the habit I'm trying to break, you're going to fall right into it. So be kind to yourself when you do fall into it. Try and break the habit and use that awareness the same way, it's a technique. So you're aware that you need to use it in a certain situation. You need to be equally aware of the situations you don't need to use it in. Yeah? Hooray! I hope that helps, along with the live streams below. That should help answer some of those more complicated questions. And you guys, I did it. These are the last 2 questions from the same person, and I left them for last because they're about me, and I thought that was so nice. So I'm gonna answer them. Maybe you guys are also curious a little bit more about me and why I feel like I can share all this information with you, all this advice with you. So I'm gonna take some time to answer these. First question is, what do you love about being autistic? Just about everything, and I know that's crazy. But all the things that I used to dislike about myself, or I wanted to change about myself, I have come to love about myself. That doesn't mean that I don't have things about autism I would love or different, or things about my challenges with autism that I wish were different, right? Like, I wish I didn't have so much dyspraxia. It's embarrassing to drop things all the time and bump into places and all of that stuff and look like a klutz. I wish I didn't have alexithymia sometimes. I wish I could tell people how I'm feeling in that moment. But it's not bad enough for me to want to make the autism gone. I love that I think logically. I love that I process the world differently. I love that even though I have sensory overload, on the other side of that, when things are beautiful, they're that much more beautiful to me. Sound, taste, sights, whatever it is. I do. I love that I have an honest look at the world and I can speak honestly about my experiences of it. I love that I'm direct. I wish other people were direct, right? So I really love a lot of the things about my autism. Actually, I love most of them because it's part of me. And I've worked really hard in the last 8 years to learn to love me. And if I don't love my autism, then I'm not loving myself, because it's really, really a big part of who I am and how I function in the world. So my answer to what do I love about autism? Just about everything. But I think I love my logical mind and I love my sensory sensitivity the most, I think, or I appreciate them the most. They are ironically the things that I struggled with the most throughout my life, the ones that I hated the most about myself most of the time. So I think that's ironic, but also kind of beautiful. And I hope that helps. I hope you find some love about your autism in your life, because it's a big part of you. And if you're walking around not liking it, you're walking around not liking you, and that's not such a good place to be. Second question. I have been told by NTs that autism itself cannot be a special interest. I disagree. What are your thoughts? Well, since autism is one of my special interests, I also disagree. Sorry, world out there. Just because I'm autistic doesn't mean that I don't get to be interested in autism. I don't know what that's about. I've heard it too. But yes, autism is one of my special interests. I think it can be a special interest for us. Of course, it used to be my main special interest, right, for a while there, and now it's kind of a sideline special interest, because I have consciously chosen for my mental health not to be so focused on one special interest. It makes me feel a little nutty some of the time. And so I need time away from big A autism, and I have to deal with little A autism, and then some of the time I just want to be Becca and I don't want to deal with it at all. And so, what I say to those people is, poo-poo. What do you know? Who do you know about even having a special interest that autism can't be one, right? Craziness. That's what I say. So I hope I leave you guys with a little bit of love for yourselves, a little bit of love for your autism, and some answers to some of your questions that you guys have been asking. I love your questions, you guys. Your questions are so good. They make me think all the time. And then I think about how your questions, you can't be the only ones thinking about that, and how we're helping other people just by doing a Q&A like this. You asking me your questions and me giving you my input is helping somebody else out there who's struggling with the same thing. And I think that's darn cool. So that's why I do this every month for you guys. I don't make any money out of it. I'm not getting any satisfaction out of it other than knowing that I'm helping you guys. And so I really enjoy doing it. Do you see this? It's terrible. Cat hairs. And they look so bright white on the screen. That's the worst part. They just like poof. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me for the June installment of Asking Spectrum Women. I love doing this and hopping on the Spectrum Women YouTube channel, taking it over and giving you guys some good answers to some good questions. Think about some more questions, send them my way for July. I will keep in touch with you guys about them and let you know I received them, and then I will go ahead and answer them for the July Asking Spectrum Women. You can send your questions to info@BeccaLory.com, that's Lory, or you can use the contact page on my website, which is BeccaLory.com, or you can leave me your question anywhere you see this video in the comments. I will get that question and I will save it for July. I hope you guys have an amazing June. Be joyful, be creative, enjoy the sunshine, and I will see you in July. Have a good one, guys.